hope sinks a world of imagination. It in almost every instance never fails to arm the opponents of justice with weapons of friendly defense, and gains their final fight with peaceful submission. Life is too often stripped of its pleasantness by the steps of false assumption, marring the true path of lifelong happiness, which should be pebbled with principled piety, purity, and peace. Next morning, after the trying adventure of the lonely outcast, was the scene of wonder at Dilworth Castle. Henry Hawkes, the head gardener under the Marquis of Orland, on approaching the little summer house in which Irene Iddesleigh so often sat in those days of youth, was horrified to find the dead body of a woman, apparently a widow, lying prostrate inside its mossy walls. "Lord, protect me!" shouted poor Hawkes, half distractedly, and hurried to Dilworth Castle to inform the inmates of what he had just seen. They all rushed towards the little rustic building to verify the certainty of the gardener's remarks. There she lay, cold, stiff, and lifeless as Nero, and must have been dead for hours. They advised the authorities, who were soon on the spot. What stinging looks of shame the Marquis cast upon her corpse on being told that it was that of the once beautiful Lady Dunfern, mother of the present heir to Dunfern Estate. Lying close at hand was an old and soiled card with the words almost beyond distinction, Irene Iddesleigh. In an instant her whole history flashed before the unforgiving mind of the Marquis, and being a sharer in her devices through his nephew Oscar Otwell, ordered her body to be conveyed to the morgue, at the same time intimating to Sir Hugh Dunfern her demise. It transpired at the inquest held next day that she was admitted the previous night to the grounds of Dilworth Castle by the porter at the lodge, giving her name as Irene Iddesleigh. She must have taken refuge in the little construction planned under her personal supervision whilst inhabiting Dilworth Castle during her girlhood, and haunted with the never-dying desire to visit once more its lovely grounds, wandered there to
die of starvation.
No notice whatever was taken of her death by her son, who obeyed to the last letter his father's instructions and carried them out with tearless pride. The little narrow bed at the lowest corner on the west side of Seaford Graveyard was the spot chosen for her remains. Thus were laid to rest the orphan of Colonel Iddesleigh, the adopted daughter and imagined heiress of Lord and Lady Dilworth, what might have been the proud wife of Sir John Dunfern, the unlawful wife of Oscar Otwell, the suicidal outcast, and the despised and rejected mother. She who might have swayed society's circle with the scepter of nobleness, she who might still have shared in the greatness of her position and defied the crooked stream of poverty in which she so long sailed, had she only been first of all true to self. Then the honourable name of Sir John Dunfern would have maintained its standard of pure and noble distinction without being spotted here and there with heathenish remarks inflicted by a sarcastic public on the administrator of proper punishment. Then the dignified knight of proud and upright ancestry would have been spared the pains of incessant insult, the mockery of equals, the haunted diseases of mental trials, the erring eye of harshness, and the throbbing twitch of constant criticism. It was only the lapse of a few minutes after the widowed waif left Dunfern Mansion until the arrival of her son from London, who, after bidding his mother quit the gowns owned by him, blotted her name forever from his book of memory. And, being strongly prejudiced by a father of faultless bearing, resolved that the shadows of beauty, youth, and false love should never have the slightest catch on his affections. The end.
So it's obviously not a good book, but I think the thing that really grabs my attention beyond just the terrible sentence-by-sentence writing is the author's just absolute refusal to sympathize with Irene in the terrible situation she was placed in. I mean, Irene never wanted to marry Sir John. She was kind of pressured into that by economic factors around the Dilworths and hoping to save them from poverty. And obviously that didn't even happen. So John just like let them go off and become paupers. So of course she wasn't happy with this guy. So like she cheated on him, and like, you know, I'm not going to say that cheating is the right thing to do, but the Mrs. Ross takes every moment to tell us that Irene cheating on Sir John was the moment all this started to go wrong. When, like, no, she was put in this terrible, unfair position, and we could use this as a starting point to talk about, like, the expectations that were put on women during the Victorian period in this, you know, still basically feudal system of the aristocracy, and having to marry for wealth and stuff. And, you know, the author herself being a woman, I would think might be aware of this to some extent. I mean, you go back like 70 years earlier, Jane Austen is already critiquing this stuff and the fact that women kind of are forced to be mercenary by a cruel system. But no, Amanda McKittrick Ross has no interest in any of that. Irene is just this cautionary tale of here's what happens if you don't do the thing that society demands you do. It's this like mean-spirited moralism. It's supposed to be sad at the end, I guess, but it's also supposed to be this kind of grim justice. And I just cannot jive with this. It is so unpleasant and so gross. But you know what's not gross? Is all of the amazing people whose names you can see moving up the screen right now who support this channel on Patreon. Particular thanks to Andre D, Bananafish, Metamorph, Michael Fattori, Wathgwin, and Zanazira. You are all amazing people, and in spite of the terrible, terrible book I've just read, this series has been a lot of fun, and I've got some more fun stuff coming up soon. We're going on a grand adventure with Conan the Barbarian soon, and then after that, we'll maybe be checking in on an old friend in the month of May. We'll see how that goes, but in the meantime, thanks for watching, and thanks for being you.